Hey, you're listening to No Limits, episode 127, PlayStation podcast. And on this episode, Sam's little Resistance fanboy, because they renewed their IP in Europe. It just means they're making a TV show and it's being filmed in Europe. Sam, the face you just made on that intro, I'm going to clip so hard.
Clip it.
In fact, real good. I'm going to ask Bree, or maybe Kevin, whoever, to crop it, make it an emote on the server, on our Discord.
Okay. You can GIF it. You can turn it into a YouTube short. Do whatever you want.
Oh, yeah. We love shorts as opposed to pants. Hello, everyone. My name is Taylor, and I'm joined by my co-host, as I've just mentioned, Sam. Bree is off today.
Bitten by two snakes. Again.
Now she's slaying dragons.
That's right, yeah. Sorry.
Killing the hogs and the warts.
Okay, right.
Bringing order back to
Shadow Moses.
Door.
Yeah.
Wait, is Shadow Moses an Armored Core 6 reference?
No, that's a Metal Gear Solid reference.
Right. See, I had the armored part, but gear part, the little. I still need to play MGS.
I mean, armor isn't any of those words, so.
Okay, very funny.
Armor is made of metal, though.
No, it isn't. Not necessarily. What about composite? Remember, you can find the video version of this podcast over on youtube.com/savethegamemedia every Tuesday. And while you're over there, make sure to subscribe to the channel. If you would rather listen to audio, we are on all your favorite podcast services, and we would love it if you could leave us a review. It helps us grow, and we would love any feedback. If you want to support us and get early access to all Save the Game Media content, head over to patreon.com/savethegamemedia and choose the tier that's right for you, just like our current patrons did. Fabulous Brianna, Brianna's mom, Brianna's brother, Nikolai at Night, Brendan Myers, Marcus O'Neill, Lillian, David Hotright, Dave Harp, the Xbox Expansion Pass, Lee Navarro, Silcanet, Eller Woods Parker III, Chad, Rick Davis, and Dinglebomp. Thank you. Or is it Dinglebamp?
I think
it's Dinglebamp.
That sounds funnier to say.
Yeah. So. Thank you, Dinglebamp, our newest patron.
Dinglebamp.
Also, please interact with us in the Discord. Follow us on Blue Sky. Links are all in the show notes. Sam, how are you?
I'm fine, Taylor. Thank you for asking. You never do.
Wow. Okay.
Well, okay, right. Moving on. Yeah, I'm fine. I'm deep in the throngs of work. It's got its thorns wrapped around me.
For some reason, I thought of Evil Dead when you said that.
Sure. Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, not that scene.
Just gonna put a chainsaw on my arm.
I was thinking of that scene either. Okay.
Yeah. Like that means I'm relatively sleep deprived. But what's new? That's status quo. So yeah, nothing much to report. Just sort of, as I said in the preemptive weeks, I said, hell is about to rise, and thus it has. So here we are.
What is that supposed to mean, Sam?
We're in the month of February, which is like every game in existence ever is releasing. So
and it's snowing outside right now, Sam.
Okay, I'm just going to call you out. It's not snowing outside. So
it's snowing for me. Actually, it's coming down pretty good. It's not sticking so hard yet, though.
Damn.
Toph loves it. She was staring out the window, following all the snowflakes. She doesn't understand. She cannot catch them.
Yeah. There's something metaphorical and allegorical in there, but
yeah. Fair enough.
How are you?
I think I'm doing decent.
Sick.
Let's see. Maybe I'll save what I was going to say for the what you're playing part. What else? Improv is doing well. Improv is tough. I'm an improv 2, Sam,
Mhm.
as opposed to improv 1. And we're learning the rules of game. If you've done improv before, my course
I have.
talks about game, the unusual. And it's tough, dude. It is way tougher than any class in improv 1. So
Yeah.
I'm trying. Last improv class, I tried to portray a man who was very hungry in a terrarium and started eating all the ferns. And it didn't end up as well as I thought it was going to end up in the moment.
As
But
long as you tried, as long as you committed, that's all that matters.
live and you learn.
Yeah.
I hosted an event for my union. We went to a little mini golf bar.
Nice.
Yep. Yep. I lost mini golf.
That's how it goes.
I had 50 over 9 holes. The person on my
You've got 9 holes.
the the person on my team who won had 40. Yep.
Oh.
So for people who don't know, golf the lower score is the better one. So I lost. It's okay though, Sam. Oh,
It is.
Thursday, I went lobbying my state legislature with my
Oh,
union. It's pretty rad.
hell yeah.
That was awesome. Yes. Good week.
Good.
And let's see. Yeah. But moving on to, well, what else? Oh, I started reading a self-help book about that my dad kept pushing me to read about how to take better hold of your career.
Mm.
That's been decent.
Nice.
Oh yeah, and I started taking electrical engineering courses. Well, Khan Academy electrical engineering courses. As someone who has an undergrad degree and an engineering, another engineering degree in geology, I started with that, and it's good. I'm considering the award of electrical engineering as a career pivot, and I said, before I sign up myself up for a master's or something, maybe I should try to just learn more and immerse myself more in the field. So I plan to uh, take some some free online courses, maybe pick up a used textbook, learn what I can, and try to buy some rudimentary circuit kits or electrical kits and put the concepts to use on projects that I want to work on. I think it could be an interesting intersection with games, especially if I get into, games hardware repair or modifications.
Sure.
There's a ton of soldering and wires and circuit board stuff, maybe to
Yeah.
some extent some low-level software stuff. I'm not so interested in the software side. I'm much more interested on the hardware side.
Sure.
So, yeah, maybe that could get fun. I might turn into one of those guys with a workbench and a pile of broken crap they're trying to fix that they bought for $2 on eBay.
There's a niche there.
You're right. Right. So, I don't know. Interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah. Sam, what have you been playing besides, I know, Redacted? Or has Redacted been your whole life? You love Redacted.
Yeah, I don't actually think I've been doing anything else games wise this week. I might have done, thinking about it, the days are blending together at this point, but I might have done a little bit more on Lorelei and the Laser Eyes. But it would have only been a couple of hours, if that. But yes, Redacted has been all consuming. And yeah, not much more I can say about it at this stage. But I will be talking in the coming months about Redacted on numerous occasions, I would imagine, for various reasons. So people can look forward to that. How nebulous and vague I'm being. What does it mean? Is there anything else? I'm trying to think. Oh, I did saying that. I did almost the code for redacted arrived, so it stopped me. But I got very close, the closest I've been in a long time to slipping back into the FTL slope. I booted up FTL and
Interesting.
I nearly lost myself again, Taylor. Like
Wow.
it was dangerous. It's happened multiple times in the past. And something compelled me to give it a go.
It's
Like
me with all my aircraft stuff.
early this week.
It's all me.
And yeah, it had me vice like grip by the balls for like a day and a half.
Whoa.
Yeah. Scary. Be careful out there. Be responsible with your FTL.
I remember when Into the Breach came out, and I tried that.
Mhm.
I think it was good, but it's not FTL.
Yeah, exactly. They're still great games. I think most of the stuff they've made is great, but there is something about FTL that is just like near perfection.
There you go.
What about you?
Well, Sam, what?
As the glass shattered, as the illusion fallen down.
No, Sam. I've actually played a large amount of Ghost of Tsushima. I feel like I might be on the path to maybe platinuming it. I did all the activities in what's the region called? The one on top of the main
Austin,
map.
Texas.
No, Sam. Ghost of Tsushima.
The one on top.
Yeah, the topmost region.
That's Glasgow.
Sam. No, it was.
Marseille.
It was. I want it.
Amsterdam.
I want to do the thing. Oh, here we go.
Corfu.
So it wasn't Izuhara. It was.
Hamburg.
Was it Toyotama?
Toyota.
Why can't I figure out the name, Sam?
I mean, the name is mostly irrelevant.
I think it was. Okay, yeah, Kamiyagata.
Okay.
I did all the activities in Kamiyagata. And something I didn't know when I was first playing the game is all the question marks will automatically appear on your map, I think, when you liberate all the outposts in a given region of the map.
I believe that's correct, yes.
So I was just planning to, raid all the outposts. Then all the new question marks popped up, and I said, well, got to take care of those. So now I'm on to the middle region. Which one is that? All right.
Madrid.
It is, I think it's Toyotama.
Rio de Janeiro.
Yeah, it's
Cape Town.
Toyotama, I think.
Greenland.
Yeah, so now I'm in Toyotama.
Okay.
And beating all the outposts there with all the question marks that I haven't done.
Mm.
And it's good. And I plan to do all that, do all the tales, all the question marks, all the tales of Tsushima before I start Iki Island.
Okay.
Having fun with that. Just I fully upgraded the ghost armor. Just having a 30% chance to terrify enemies, Sam. It's a good time.
Sure is.
Yeah. So I'm just saving all my resources to spend them on whatever new stuff I find in Iki Island.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, you do know that you will get additional resources on Iki Island.
Yeah, but it's the must hoard resources instinct. Sure. But I kind of want to upgrade the Ronin attire just because, yeah, the damage resistance sucks, but how scenic would it be to just take off or take down 4 bandits one by one and nothing but robes?
Yeah.
Because I've been alternating between the Sakai clan armor for, I'll say, main combat and then ghost armor when I'm in stealth. and Traveler's Attire when I'm exploring the map. Those have been my three wing rotation, but kind of want to do some Ronin attire stuff. Get pretty scenic.
Sure.
Yeah, maybe I'll upgrade that some more. But yeah, good times in Ghost, dude. It is, man. We forget how pretty Ghost is sometimes. We really do.
Do we?
I think we do, Sam. It's been a while since a lot of us have played it last. It just doesn't get old, dude. The combat is so good.
And imagine how Yote's going to look.
Dual wielding katanas, at least according to the trailer.
Brand new map to explore. Fully built up from the ground up from the PlayStation 5.
400 years later, right? I think Ghost took place in near the turn of the 14th century, whereas Yote will be in the middle of the 17th century.
Going to have access to, guns.
Right, we love primitive firearms. It is great. I was so excited when that was introduced in Assassin's Creed.
Mm.
And we're about to get the Assassin's Creed game, so there you go.
Yeah, in Shadows.
I meant Yote, Sam.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, sorry. All right.
That is interesting, right? We're getting Shadows and Yote in the same year. That'll be.
What a shame for Shadows,
Yeah.
Already had enough going against it. And now, a couple of months after its release, it's going to be outclassed by a vastly superior game.
Wow, Sam.
We all know it to be true, I hope Shadows is great, but it's not going to be better than Yote. So.
It never gets old decapitating a Mongol chief. Something I haven't done yet, which I want to do, is take out all of the Mongol base and then put on the Mongol commander's armor, which I haven't actually done it yet, but per the item description, it should make me blend in when I'm in an outpost if I don't engage in combat. Just stand right next to the commander, one by one, take a photo mode picture, and sidestep a couple steps, either to the right or left, 1 or 2 steps back, and just, slice his head off.
Sure.
I even looked up some Japanese history books about that period. I'm like, ooh, maybe I'll start reading these. And they're like $17-18. I'm like, eh.
Mm. Maybe one day.
I was hoping for a free EPUB version or something. But
you just know, thinking about Yote, you just know that one of the mythic tales in that game is going to be about Jin, right? This legendary warrior that's faded into myth over hundreds of years.
Maybe. I mean, they'll be referenced definitely. But
you'll find the Sakai clan armor or something as a reward. That, or they just go full on flashback and you play as Jin.
Nah, they shouldn't do that. It would be great to duel Jin's spirit.
Mm.
And the outcome of the duel isn't that you kill Jin, but rather it's a draw and you learn a new technique.
Yeah. Maybe that's where you get the ghost dance from.
That's a good point. Ghost dance is fun. Just a lot of dismemberment.
Yeah.
Yeah. Better than the dismemberment engine on The Witcher, my take. Remember The Witcher 3? All stuff you could do there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, Ghost. Yeah. So besides that, oh boy, Sam, it's fighter jets. Uh-oh, Sam. Uh-oh. I am eagerly, I'm thinking I'm going to do it tomorrow morning, assuming I don't get laid off tomorrow morning. I'll purchase Ace Combat 7 Ultimate Maverick Edition.
Oh.
And pretend to be Top Gun. Oh, I'm also, so I was like looking stuff up like that up. I was looking at Falcon BMS, which I mentioned on the post show last week. Falcon BMS is a study level simulator of an F-16. every switch does what it does in the real plane. You have to do all those procedures correctly and shoot down baddies in the air, doing a game-contained campaign that the game makes up for you, that's AI generated. And I'm going to pretend all the enemies are Scott. So if I ever play Falcon BMS, all the enemies are Scott. Scott has taken over Korea, and we need to get rid of Scott before he takes over the world and makes everyone Scott.
Kim Scott-oon, somebody said.
Oh, God. You're right.
Yeah.
But yeah, besides that, so like, it's one of these things. Sure, other people must do this where you look so much stuff up about a thing, but you don't actually partake in the thing yet. Oh, this looks really cool. I'm not going to play it yet.
Sure.
I've also taken a little bit of a dive into Mecha. I'm considering starting Mobile Suit Gundam, and Armored Core 6 reared its ugly head.
Sure did.
Like, oh God, that game looks good. Really does.
It is. Spoiler alert.
I'm like, oh, I have to get Armored Core 6 one of these days. Maybe. So, I don't know, Sam. Maybe my gaming tastes are changing into simulating either historical figures or trying to take control of vehicles that are perceived, at least, to be man-made. I don't know. The mecha thing is a bit of an offshoot, but flight sim, fighter jet game, those are all stuff that humans actually operate. The mecha stuff kind of starts going off the rails, but theoretically, in the worlds of I think Gundam and Armored Core, humans made those machines, right? Unless I suspect there's a whole side to this where the question: are Gundam sentient? Are these mechs sentient? I'm going to guess that's explored.
And the most important question of all:
what?
Are Euro trucks sentient?
No, Sam, they're not. Although I will get American Truck Sim next time it's on sale.
Oh dear.
I'm going to transition to American Truck. The highways just look more fun. You can drive faster. Trucks are bigger.
You can shoot guns as well in that game, right?
No, you can't, Sam. Sorry.
It's not very authentic.
Yeah, I know. But yeah, I even looked up a Gundam figure. I'm like, no, I can't get into Gunpla. I can't do it. Don't do it, Taylor. Don't do it, Taylor.
I'm not going to enable you, Taylor.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do it.
But Sam, don't tell me you have some Gunpla on a shelf that I don't know about.
Gunpla.
Isn't it called Gunpla? It's what the word looks like, how it's pronounced.
As if I would know.
It's Gunpla. Pla. Okay, whatever. That's what Reddit says. That's correct.
No, I don't, Taylor, I'm afraid.
Right. Yeah. So take that, Sam.
Yeah, I'm really hurt. Sad now.
Yeah, I was kind of just fantasizing about what would be the actual engineering that would go into designing mech. And then I thought back to how much I love Titanfall 2. I just got in the... And I thought about Transformers.
Sure. Do you know another mech you'd really like, actually? I'm thinking about it.
Which one?
It's much smaller than most other mech robots. It's like the pronunciation is going to mess me up here. It's like a Strubot or something.
A Strubot.
Yeah.
A Strubot. A Stru. How do you spell it, Sam?
A.
Sam, you're talking about Astrobot. Oh my God. You actually got me for the whole of 90 seconds. Okay, Sam. Very funny. That's not a mech, Sam. Sorry.
Okay, but I had to lean into it, or otherwise you would have caught on much faster.
You're right, Sam. Astrobot is, well, but no humans in that. Well, that I guess there doesn't need to be a human in a mech for it to be a mech, right?
Yeah, no,
BT is not.
you're not wrong, Taylor. You're not wrong.
Oh God,
But I did get you.
You're right. I'll do Titanfall 2's campaign. God. I need it again. Sam, you're a Titanfall 2 appreciator, right?
Of course.
But then again,
BT.
when I talk about sentient mechs, then the question of Horizon also rears its ugly head.
Well, yeah, but then they're not mechs, are they?
Where's the line?
Well,
does a mech have to be humanoid by nature?
But didn't you literally just say that the definition of a mech is that it has to have a human pilot?
No, I said that's part of the question, but we've seen examples in Titanfall 2. There were examples in the campaign where you were outside of BT and BT was doing his thing.
Sure, but it's still pilotable.
Well, that's a question I also have for Gundam, and no one tell me the answer. I'm going to guess the answer is, I think I remember from watching the first episode years ago, Gundams have pilots, but
yeah, which would make them a mech.
Which would make them a mech. But I'm going to guess
if they aren't pilotable, then they're just robots.
So pilotable. I'm going to guess there's some point in this series where they start acting on their own behalf without a human pilot being inside of the mech.
Possibly.
But you're right, pilotable.
Yes.
In Armored Core 6, you pilot your mech, right? You're not droning it. Yeah. Or what's it? What's the Xbox? What's the Xbox game? Wolf. The Xbox game Wolf Chaos? Metal Wolf Chaos? No. Yeah, Metal Wolf Chaos. There's that. America F yeah.
Sure.
Wait, I didn't realize From Software made Metal Wolf Chaos either. Oh, that's funny. I need to play Metal. So Sam, yeah, mecha, fighter jets, planes, trucks. I don't know what to say, Sam. Am I a vehicle guy? Is this what's happening?
I mean, pretty clearly, yes. I think all logical conclusions would draw that fact,
right.
Yes.
So what vehicles are in Horizon, Sam? The robots. The robots are the vehicles.
If you want me to spoil things, I can.
No.
Okay, well then, don't ask.
Yeah, I hope it's better than the Warthog. No offense to Halo.
I mean, that's a pretty low bar. So yeah.
Wow. I mean, Halo has much better stuff in the game, like the Banshees and the other planes that I'm forgetting the names of. Those are fun. The Warthog is just it's an ATV, man.
Just unfortunate they're all in Halo. That's the unfortunate thing.
Well, Halo's going to be on PS5 soon.
Yeah.
Well, don't worry. We'll be able to fly more vehicles in Intergalactic. I even stepped into the world of Elite Dangerous for about 2 hours.
If you say so, Tyler.
Elite Dangerous looks cool, but my critique is like I don't know, the cockpit always looks the same. Now, like no matter however you customize your ship from the outside, your cockpit always looks the same. I think I'd get bored of Elite Dangerous because I don't think I'd be able to deal with mining for 25 hours, and I don't know. I feel like it'd be too big for me.
Yeah.
I've also considered Factorio. I haven't delved into Factorio, Sam, but all this stuff, I'm like, oh, will I get into it? Oh, maybe not, maybe a little bit. Ooh, maybe not, maybe a little bit.
Seems you've got a lot of those right now.
Yeah. And Flight Sim is still in the background.
Excellent.
Oh yeah, I tried playing it again this week and thought I was doing well. Checked my GPS, way off course. Trying to visually navigate, just way off course. And I'm like, this is a sim, not real life. I'm just going to look at the goddamn GPS from now on. But no, I'm not. I'm going to try not to and do it the old-fashioned way, Sam, with landmarks. It's tough.
Yeah.
I don't know how real pilots do it, just looking at landmarks only.
Yeah.
Also, an unfortunate week for planes, at least in the United States. I acknowledge this. What, Sam?
They weren't looking at their GPSs, Taylor. That's what it was.
You're really gonna make that joke right now. All right.
I mean, you brought it up, Taylor.
I did
You
not bring
brought
it
it
up.
up.
I did not bring it up. It brought itself up. All right.
Okay, if you say so. If you say so.
It
Scott did it.
It happened, unfortunately. If you're listeners who don't know, there was a regional jet that collided with a helicopter outside of Washington D.C., and everyone on board both aircraft died. I think it totaled to just under 70 people.
Yeah.
And it's unclear whose fault it was yet. Air traffic controls, was it the helicopters?
Yeah, but I mean, it's not even just that, because there was the other plane that just crashed.
And then there was a plane that flying out of Philadelphia that right after takeoff smash landed and killed one person on the ground, injuring, I think, over a dozen others, in addition to killing everyone on board. And that was a medical plane.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a mom, her child, a paramedic, the pilot, maybe one or two other people on that plane. Just rough.
Yeah. The video is insane.
Looks like a missile.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The speed at which it's going is insane.
Yeah.
You don't really get that perspective ever. So
I saw a video analysis from a pilot who's like, you can't get that angle of descent unless the plane has spun out and it's just coming down from the force of gravity. Yeah. There's no way you can push the yoke in that far to make the plane go in that steeply. So I imagine something went terribly wrong mechanically with the plane after takeoff. It was right after takeoff too.
Sure.
Now I feel bad for mentioning all the things I talked about. Okay.
Completely separate things, Taylor.
Yeah. Let the record show I was into these things before Thursday.
Thank you, FBI. You can take a chill pill now.
Yeah. Yep. Yes, Sam. But, maybe I'll play some Forza Horizon on my PS5 because I love vehicles so much. Am I right? Speaking of Forza Horizon 5, I'm skipping to Forza Horizon 5, Sam. So Forza Horizon 5 is launching on PS5 this spring. Announced on January 30th, Playground, the developer of Forza Horizon, confirmed their open-world arcade racer is coming to PS5 this spring, 2025. We'll have the exact same content as the Xbox and PC versions, with all previously released car packs and expansions available for purchase. The PS5 version was developed by Panic Button in partnership with Turn 10 and Playground Games. For people who don't know, Panic Button is creme de la creme of console porting. They're responsible for the infamously good Doom and Wolfenstein ports on Switch. When I say Wolfenstein and Doom, they ported Doom 2016 and I think Doom Eternal, right, to Switch. And they ported Wolfenstein, at least Wolfenstein 2 to Switch. Also Youngblood, I think. Sorry if you played Youngblood, but yeah.
Yeah.
So, and they're doing it again for Forza Horizon 5 to PlayStation. So they got their niche. They helped bring, I guess at the time they ported Doom was prior to the Bethesda acquisition, wasn't it? Either way, Panic Button now has a reputation for porting currently on Xbox IP to other platforms, doing it well.
Yeah.
So
yeah. And I think this also, again, like inevitable, the stuff we've talked about for weeks and months at this point in terms of like Project Latitude, but like this is arguably the most significant game thus far. Doom is important for sure, but outside of that, I think this is like the most seismic announcement. Not only in terms of the fact that it fills a niche on PlayStation where there isn't really many arcade races, certainly not of the quality level of Forza Horizon, but also there is no denying that Forza is part of like the holy trinity of Xbox, of Halo, Gears, and Forza. And that the Band-Aid has been ripped off. We said this last week. I think we were talking about it, or the week before, or both. Probably both. Who knows? Like it's happening, and Forza's going, so like everything's gonna go. And I think that it's timely as well. I wonder whether they specifically timed this announcement alongside the Dev Direct, and in between those, they had the Phil Spencer interviews. You know, like you have the Dev Direct where 4 of the 5 games have PS5 displayed in the Direct itself, not in a blog post after the fact. They just open say it, because why hide it at this point? And then in the days that follow, Phil Spencer does a couple of interviews talking about the future of Xbox and the fact that more of their games are going to come, doubles down on the no red lines, on, we're not going to build a wall around any game. And then here we are a few days after those interviews with one of Xbox's sort of premier former exclusive IPs coming to PS5 early this year. So yeah, I will, because you jumped to it, Taylor. We're jumping around now. Apparently, that's what we're doing. We did have a question about Forza, and it's probably worthwhile just asking them here rather than jumping back to them at the end.
Sure.
So Kyle asked us, "Are you guys going to check out Forza Horizon? Also, do you think Forza coming to PlayStation risks making Gran Turismo irrelevant or less important, especially if Motorsport, meaning Forza Motorsport, comes as well?" I will say I'm not gonna check out Horizon 5. I admired it. I have played it through Game Pass a little bit. I'm just not a racing guy. I'm not into like driving car games. Same goes for Gran Turismo. The closest I've gotten is like some of the older Need for Speeds. But even then, and it's like stupid things like Split Second. Like I love Split Second, but that's because it's just ridiculous over the top explosions. And to wrap up my thoughts, I would say I don't think it risks Gran Turismo becoming irrelevant. Gran Turismo is a consistently very high seller for Sony. That isn't going to change. I don't think it's impossible. I would be less confident that Motorsport would come, because Horizon is filling a niche. I feel, whilst they would certainly sell copies, I don't know that either side, both PlayStation and Xbox in this scenario, would want their two things clashing against one another. Like PlayStation would just prefer that Gran Turismo remains the prestige driving simulator. And Xbox doesn't want to, in my mind right now, wouldn't want to risk Motorsport coming and being ignored because Gran Turismo is embedded in the system in terms of its identity. But even if both come, like both, obviously Forza Horizon, and then if Motorsport comes later down the line, I still think Gran Turismo is too big of a name on the PlayStation side of things to overtake it. Like they'll both make big splashes and they'll sell well on PlayStation, but I don't think it's going to make Gran Turismo less important for them now.
Yeah, I think it's a complementary relationship. Forza is more of an arcade racer than Gran Turismo is, right? Gran Turismo 7 is to Forza Motorsport. Let me frame it this way. The Crew Motorfest is to Forza Horizon 5 as Forza Motorsport is to Gran Turismo.
Yes.
So if anything, I don't think it would take the steam away from Gran Turismo 7. It could take the steam away from the Crew Motorfest, which also wasn't, I don't think it was that commercially successful. Maybe I'm wrong. But as the premier arcade racer for the platform, I think Forza Horizon could easily take that mantle, but it wouldn't interfere with Gran Turismo 7's market share. Now, there are some real hardcore racing enthusiasts who say, like, Sam, you come across the iRacing fans of the world.
Sure.
Who would say that Gran Turismo 7 is simcade, what they call a cross between sim and arcade.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's a sliding scale, right? Let's say simulator is iRacing, Assetto Corsa, and then you have Simcade, which is Motorsport, Gran Turismo. Forza Motorsport, when I say Motorsport and Gran Turismo. And then you have Arcade totally to the left. Maybe I'll say Total Arcade would be like Burnout. But maybe between a Burnout and Forza Motorsport or Gran Turismo, do you have Forza Horizon? So I think it's just different parts of the scale of the racing game genre. And people underestimate how many people play racing games. There's a reason Gran Turismo is the best-selling franchise for PlayStation across multiple generations.
Yep.
It's because there's a mass market appeal. And I think Horizon is a different sector of the market. It's more casual market.
And like Motorsport and Gran Turismo, if they were available on the same system, they'd certainly butt heads, but I don't think they would cancel each other out. And also, I think this question would only become particularly pertinent if Polyphony decided to go back to doing something like GT Sport, which would be more comparable to a Forza Horizon.
I disagree.
Right? If Polyphony went to do the Gran Turismo version of Horizon again, then you might have an issue. But I don't think Polyphony need to do that now, quite frankly, because they're going to have in the eyes of the industry and players, the premier arcade racer in Forza Horizon, and Sony will be making 30% on the sales of those games. So it's just like any other third party. And that answers, Brandon did have a secondary question involved, like, how do you feel about having directly competing franchises on the PlayStation, like Forza and Gran Turismo? The same answer, right? It's like, it's going to happen. We're going to have third-person shooters from Xbox, when Gears comes over. Does that rival any of the other third-person shooters that PlayStation has? Like, I guess technically on a genre front, but there's scope and scale and room for all of these things to exist. In the same way that, like, Gears and The Last of Us Part 2 being both on Steam, like, they don't cancel each other out. It's just, from Steam's perspective, they are two third-party partners sending their games to the platform. I think the same is true here. So,
yep, good stuff. This reminds me, Sam, I couldn't get past the Gran Turismo 7 tutorial because I put it on manual with all assists off, and I couldn't even beat the tutorial. Maybe I'll return to it one day, but I don't feel like putting 120 gigs in my PlayStation 5 again.
Sure.
But we'll see. Maybe I get into racing vehicle games.
Maybe.
Sam.
Uh-oh.
Maybe I get a Logitech G29 steering wheel and pedals.
Ruh-roh.
I will say, Gran Turismo 7 is the most what's the word? Gran Turismo 7 is the cheapest way to get into sim racing today. I believe. Or I guess Forza Motorsport also. But I feel like Gran Turismo in particular, because it has a larger player base, if you wanted to get into iRacing, you have to have a very good computer, some pretty big monitors, pretty robust setup. So if anyone's interested in the sim racing world, I think Gran Turismo 7 is your best bet.
And
which wasn't online only.
Slightly more niche, but worth keeping in mind as well that Gran Turismo, at least Gran Turismo 7, does also have PSVR 2 support. So
it does. You're right.
That is a niche that you are interested or already invested in. You can experience that racing, driving sim in virtual reality as well. And I haven't played it personally, but it is supposedly one of the best VR games on PlayStation.
Yeah, so that is the good motivation for it. Sam, you should try it just because.
Maybe one day, Taylor. Maybe one day.
Yeah.
Maybe. Okay, lovely stuff. Lovely stuff. Back to the we're going back to the beginning.
Hmm.
We have the whole lot of news this week, so we can rapid fire through whatever ones if we don't feel we have much to say. But this first one, we have a leadership shakeup, reorganization. What's the word? Who knows? Hideaki Nishino has been promoted to sole CEO of SIE in its entirety, replacing Hiroki Totoki. So, for context, for people that weren't in the loop, Hiroki Totoki has now ascended to become CEO of Sony, the entire corporation, not just the division, after a brief stint as interim CEO of SIE after Jim Ryan's departure. Nishino now fills the SIE CEO role that Totoki had, and I've written, contrary to some initial views, Herman Holst remains in his exact same position as CEO of the studio business group, but will now simply report to Nishino as opposed to alongside him. This is obviously technically the second structure reorganization in a year, because in May 2024, Nishino and Holst were appointed as joint CEOs of their respective divisions at SIE. Holst being the studio business group and Nishino being the platform hardware side of things. This is kind of like a nothing sandwich, I think. Like, a lot of people were making big claims that Holst was demoted and things like that, but it's like, if you want to view this from a very particular angle, sure, but he has the exact same job, exact same responsibilities. It's just the fact that Totoki said, Herman, you're leading this part of SIE. Nishino, you're leading this part of SIE. And now that Totoki has gone one rung up, Nishino has been decided as the guy that goes like that. So Herman hasn't gone down. He's just stayed where he is.
They all make so much money. Guys, you shouldn't care so much.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and like fundamentally, it isn't going to have any impact on us as consumers, but people like talking about it. So there we are.
Yeah, whatever. I don't care. Sorry.
Yeah. The only interesting thing is that Nishino has made some interesting comments as of late about like the general ethos and approach to the platform, and that it is content first that will drive people to engage with the platform, which might suggest that he will continue, again, antithetical to some opinions, he will continue to prioritize the PlayStation platform in terms of its hardware, at least to a reasonable extent.
Why would you think he'd be prioritizing the hardware if he said that content is more important? Wouldn't he? Would you expect him to port more things to PC then?
No. He said that content first is the important thing to drive people to engage with your platform. So
right.
by proxy, he is saying
okay.
that he is prioritizing the games, but it's the games in service of the platform.
Right.
So
and
that
we didn't have
means
it. Sorry,
exclusives still.
Right. And we didn't have it as a story here, but there was also rumors that there was Demon Souls and another remake and another PC port that were slated that were just canceled.
Yeah, it was Demon Souls and Gran Turismo 7.
Oh, dude, them not porting Gran Turismo, that's a miss.
I don't know. Like, I think if we were talking about this being like early 2021 or early 2022 that we were in right now, and they were considering porting, I would say, like, yeah, of course, it's a no-brainer, do it. But we've seen continually with their releases thus far that if they are releasing the games on PC years, like 1 year plus since its initial release, it is seeing very low engagement on PC. Doesn't matter what it is. Obviously, they had a few high points early on. God of War did very well. Horizon Zero Dawn did very well. Days Gone did surprisingly well, and then Spider-Man. one, but everything else besides that, everything has not been very good in terms of reception and overall engagement, and again, not that Steam is like the be all and end all, because there are other PC platforms, but that is like the PC platform that you would look to for statistics. So I think, like, looking back at Demon Souls and Gran Turismo, it's like, well, we are 4+ years removed since their release. So
Well, Gran
are you?
Turismo came out in 2020, 3 years ago.
Yeah, but don't be pedantic, Taylor. You get my
Sam,
point.
it's 3 years instead of 4. I think that's significant.
Is it though?
Yeah.
Is it because Spider-Man 2 came out a year ago?
All
A little
right.
over a
All
year
right.
ago,
I'll stop
and
being
it's
I'll stop being
not,
a little whiny.
and it's having very low engagement on Steam.
Well, the PC
So
port's also a little bit of a mess in Spider-Man 2.
sure, of course, but the games that have been ported and the ports have been fine have also seen that low engagement. So I think that there is, whether it's fully true, whether there is real tangible data to it or not, we're not really going to know. But it would seem, if those games have been cancelled in terms of their PC ports, they probably think that the juice isn't worth a squeeze because it's been too long, and anybody that was willing to play those games have probably already played them on a PS5, or it's so far down the line now and there's so many more games coming out at a much rapid click nowadays that they're just going to get lost. So I think that they're probably just like, don't worry about that, don't waste time on it. We'll lose a little bit of money by not doing it, but we're also saving money by not developing the port, and going forwards the games will just be much closer, if not day and date. So we'll ship. It's sort of like what Xbox is doing by shipping their games to PS5. It's like there are some games, Phil has said as much, that they are just not going to port because they're too old or whatever, or it isn't worth it. Like, do we really think Redfall is going to be ported? No. Now, obviously, there are various extraneous factors as to why that wouldn't be ported. Like, it's a bad game. People know it's a bad game, and the studio is closed. But they're not going to port Redfall because nobody would buy it. I think that's the same here. It's like, well, people probably just aren't going to buy it. So when the new iterations of these things come out, yeah, we'll ship them, if not day and date, after a brief exclusivity period. But yeah, on paper, why would you not want Gran Turismo and Demon Souls on PC, considering where FromSoft is right now, to have another high quality FromSoft game and a premier driving sim? It's like no brainer. But I think you only really reap the benefits if you do that much closer to its release at this stage in the industry. So I think that's why, if they have been cancelled, which is just a rumor at the moment, I think that's why.
Fair enough.
But what do I know?
Nothing.
I do know, Taylor, though. The PlayStation has issued a DMCA against
Oh my God.
60 FPS Bloodborne patch, baby.
Shut up.
It's happening.
Not,
it's
no,
real.
it's not. No, it's not. There's no Bloodborne remaster. Shut up.
So
Go
people,
home.
let's just indulge ourselves.
Go home, Sam.
One more time. One more time.
Oh my God.
One more time in the boxing ring. 4 years after its initial release, PlayStation has ordered Lance to remove all the links to the patch, which he, of course, obliged. Posting on X, Lance said, quote, "On February 21st, 2021, I created and released a patch for Bloodborne which makes the game run at 60 FPS. Today, which was January 30th, I received a DMCA takedown notification on behalf of SIE, asking that I remove links to the patch I posted on the internet, so I've now done so." This has led to a lot of speculation online as to whether SIE is just finally deciding after 4 years to crack down on the unofficial mod patch, or is SIE choosing to remove any potential competition now, years later, because conveniently,
No.
a few months prior to Bloodborne's 10th anniversary this
What do you mean a
year.
few months, Sam? It's less than 2 months.
Taylor, shut up. Let it happen. Are they preparing to make an announcement of their own?
No. Cope. They're not. They just want to be greedy like Nintendo.
But it's about persistence, Taylor. That they ended the 30th anniversary video on Bloodborne.
Sam, you better stop. There's nothing happening.
They didn't end it on Uncharted.
You
or
are
Last of
reading
Us,
into this so much,
or God of
and
War,
it is so the amount of
Ratchet and Clank,
what's the word? Yeah,
Astrobot.
the amount of coping you're doing right now is immense.
They didn't end it on Crash Bandicoot.
You cannot just wish this into existence. It's not happening.
I
Give
think
up.
I can, Taylor.
Give up. It's over. It's Jover.
That's the
Right.
best
Jover.
perspective to have, Taylor.
It's
You know,
obvious, yeah.
if you expect disappointment, you'll never be disappointed.
It's not happening. It's not happening. It's a dream. It's a just pipe dream in your head. That's all it is.
You're just trying to like gaslight and like double bluff the universe. That's what you're doing.
No, Sam. In 10 years, when we have maybe decent PS4 emulation, you can get your 60 FPS there. Until then, you deal with 30.
What the hell do you mean decent PS4 emulation? What are you talking about?
In 10 years, when we have decent PS4 emulation.
But
you don't think we'll have decent PS4 emulation by 2035? And then you can mod your games on your PC?
I'm not even going to go down this route. You know,
What?
I'm just gonna leave it.
You think it's crazy for me to say 2035?
I'm gonna choose to believe, Taylor. You know, that's just I like having fun. You know, let's be a little spicy.
Nope. It's gone. It's gone. Stop it, Sam. You know how many times I've been burned by a Bloodborne 2? Bloodborne Remastered.
I've been burnt right there alongside you, Taylor.
From the years of like 2019 to now. It's not.
I just enjoy the way the flames feel as they lick against my skin, being burned.
Okay, Sam. Well, that's your thing, and
yeah.
I don't like being burned.
Yeah.
So
it's happening.
Nope.
Believe, Taylor.
If it's real, no, I'm not gonna even entertain the idea if it's real because it's not. Next. All right, next. Let's see. Something that Sam is. Whoa. Speaking of, geez, Sam just had a moment there with Scott.
Speaking of things coming back.
Jesus. Okay. Resistance has had its intellectual property renewed in Europe. Noticed by some users on X, the Resistance IP has been re-registered at the EU Intellectual Property Office. It is registered as the EUTM, it's EU trademark.
Mm-hmm.
It was registered on January 28th, 2025.
So Taylor, I'm going to stop you here because I'm going to have to take over for obvious reasons because it's Resistance, right? But I've gone off the deep end. I'm like Alice in Wonderland. I've fallen down the rabbit hole, and I'm still falling.
I'm playing the straight guy in the improv skit. That's what I'm being right now. I'm Jason Bateman, and I'm Jason Bateman, and you're David Cross right now. That's what's happening.
Sure. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
So this could just be a simple IP renewal, folks, but there are some strange things potentially aligning. I'm not jumping too much on the hopium train right now, but there are some quirks that are going on. So go on a little journey with me. A number of years ago, there was screenshots and footage of a leaked game that was in development with PlayStation XDev in partnership with an external team that at the time was confirmed to be in Europe. Remember that the Resistance IP was renewed in Europe?
No. I don't.
So the leaked footage from this game, which is actually in one of the links, Taylor, I think it's the bottom link there under this story, if you want to look yourself whilst I'm talking, shows a third-person sci-fi shooter with a giant goopy alien that is climbing a distant structure. Now, of course, if you know, Resistance is, of course, a first-person shooter, but maybe the way that it's resurrected and rebooted is as a third-person shooter. Resistance Retribution on PSP. That was a third-person shooter. So, would it also make sense that they would license out the IP rather than develop it in-house, because Insomniac is, of course, far too busy now. And then alongside this, ladies and gentlemen, so I'm not necessarily certain that Project Ooze, which is what it was nicknamed because of the goopy alien, I don't think that it's a Resistance game, but there's potential. There is potential. I could see in some world where that might have been early footage of a Resistance-esque game. But then alongside this, it is Scuttlebutt, but run with it for the lols. Colin Moriarty, formerly of IGN, obviously Last Star Media now. He has been in the room with a lot of people at PlayStation over the years. He's had multiple dinners with Shuhei Yoshida. He's spoken to Andrew House back in the day, Sean Layden. But he is on record, Colin Moriarty, multiple times in multiple different occasions, recordings, podcasts, discussions, whatever, saying that Scott Rhodey, who is a very, very influential figure right at the top of SIE, he is currently head of internal production. Colin Moriarty has claimed multiple times that he was asked by Scott Rhodey on separate occasions what his thoughts were on bringing back Resistance, which does, in some form, indicate that someone high up in Sony who is in charge of internal production has some ideas that there is potential with the Resistance IP. Whether anything comes of that, any of this, TBD.
I hope Colin asked Scott before he mentioned it on his podcast that he could talk about it on his podcast.
I'm almost certain he didn't. Almost certain he didn't.
Yeah, it's a good way to burn a bridge. It's a good way to burn.
I don't think I don't know Scott Rhodey, obviously, but
I know him.
The vibe,
Sam,
the
he's
vibe
Scott.
I get.
He's Scott. Scott's here.
It all makes sense. The dots.
It all makes sense. I know Scott. All right.
He seems like a relatively chill dude, and if Colin doesn't have any more inside information beyond that, I don't know that there is really much to get angry about, because it is just like spitballing, throwing out ideas at that point. But does it mean anything, Taylor? Does it mean anything? I obviously, goes without saying, would truly, honestly love nothing more than for Resistance to come back. I don't care if it's rebooted as a third-person shooter. I don't care. If the IP comes back and the Chimera are there and I get to play Resistance again, I will be a very happy boy. I'm not expecting anything. In the same way that we were just talking about Bloodborne, right? I'm not getting my hopes up. I think that a Bloodborne thing is far more likely than a Resistance thing. But there are dots here. Whether you choose to connect them or not, that is up in the air. But maybe.
Okay, Sam.
Wow, you sound so excited.
I'm just going to be the grumpy dad who breaks your dreams.
Okay. Fine.
Move
on then.
Speaking of breaking dreams, there are rumors now that God of War is heading to Egypt, as reported by Entertainment Insider Daniel RPK. I'm not sure. I don't know about his track record, but
patchy.
Yeah. He said Sony Santa Monica is currently casting for Middle Eastern actors to appear in a new game. While this doesn't guarantee anything, it's certainly a possibility. As explained in the Raising Kratos making of documentary from God of War 2018, Corey Barlog detailed the plan for the original game was set in ancient Egypt, but later decided to switch to Norse mythology. So there is a precedent for the Egyptian setting, and the casting call makes, I guess, people wonder. I would love an Egypt-based God of War title. Egyptian gods are very cool. The architecture or let me frame it this way. I think Egyptian mythology is a lot less familiar to many audiences in the Western Hemisphere than Norse mythology is. It would be really cool for Santa Monica to shine a light on that section of the world and all those mythos that are associated with it. I remember when I was a kid, Rick Riordan had some great books after The Lightning Thief about, I forget what the exact series name was called, but it involved Egyptian mythology, and I thought it was really cool.
Yeah, that's because he had Percy Jackson, obviously, and then he did Heroes of Olympus. But then there was something else, wasn't there? The Egyptian with the brother and sister.
Right, you're right.
What was that called?
Rick.
I had those in hardback as well, hardcover.
So they were called The Kane Chronicles.
That's it. Yeah. 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 That takes me back. Yep. I definitely remember the cover of the Red Pyramid for sure.
Same. Yeah, same with nostalgia, man.
Yeah.
It's nostalgia at this point, 15 years.
Good old days. Oh boy, we're old.
No, we're not.
Yeah, we are.
Sam, I'm here to break down the notion that being under the age of 30 is old on the internet.
Okay, if you say so. There are people that are in school now that weren't alive when the Harlem Shake.
Yes, Sam. Same. There are people in kindergarten now that were not in school 5 years ago. Welcome to aging. Welcome to time.
Well, okay. Yeah.
There are people whose first console was the Nintendo Switch, and by the time the Switch 2 comes out, they will have nostalgia for the Switch 1.
That's disgusting.
Okay, Sam.
Yeah, I think it's cool as well for God of War to be going to Egypt. I think that is honestly the logical next step. Like I don't know where else you would go. Like I was about to say something, but you haven't played Valhalla, so I will bite my tongue.
Yes. Should I play Valhalla?
Yes, Taylor. I've been telling you and Bray to play Valhalla.
Oh wait, I was thinking about Assassin's Creed Valhalla, not God of War Valhalla.
it's got some of the straight up the best God of War narrative content ever.
No,
period.
Sam, there's no way that's possible.
Yes, it does.
But before I play Valhalla, I have to play all the other God of War games besides God of War 3 and
so you just have to wait for
Ragnarok.
The Greek Saga remakes, right?
Yeah, or I just get a month of premium and start streaming.
Yeah. Yes, well, what I will say, without spoiling anything, there are things in certain contexts in Valhalla that point directions towards where they can go. And it's just sort of acknowledgements that, like in God of War 2018, there was very clearly like symbols in Tyr's temple that showed that other mythologies existed.
Oh God, that was such a good moment. Spoilers for God of War 2018.
There is more of that in Valhalla.
Spoiler for me.
It's not spoiling it.
Spoiler for me.
And it's more overt. What that means, I'm obviously not going to say. But this is one of them, which again, like that's not really a spoiler. Like there were references to Egypt in God of War 2018. Atreus put on the Egyptian hat mask thing in the treasure room, like stuff like that. So I think that's probably best, because if you go into like feudal Japan or something, somewhere more Asian inspired, I think there's just a lot of that going on. And you've got like the Ghost series as a first party game. Do you really want to tread on that one's toes too much, even though obviously that's not like
Shadows, Rise of the Ronin, Neo.
Precisely. So
Phantom Blade Zero, go down the list.
There is concern from some people that are saying, are you going to be able to differentiate the environments enough from some of the Greek saga, which I think there is a degree of truth there, but Santa Monica also haven't given us any reason to doubt them. So, yeah, I think it's incredibly exciting. The monster, creature designs that are possible, the gods themselves, how they are going to be depicted, and the boss fights of those gods.
Yeah, even Mario Odyssey has. Oh my gosh, Toph almost ended the stream, the recording. Okay, even Mario Odyssey has an Egyptian section.
Yeah, and you're like brutally beheading people in that as well. So
No, Sam.
Can you tell I haven't played Mario Odyssey?
How have you not? Yeah, the amount of Nintendo games I could, scold you for not playing.
I do know. I wouldn't care in the slightest.
Do
do you know the amount of PlayStation games I could spoil for you?
No. Let's see. Well, we've gone over my list. It's probably like 40 PlayStation games. Yeah. Anyway,
but I think also it'll be interesting to see. Not that it's directly tied to this story, but like, is the formula going to switch up again in some way? Is it going to be the Norse God of War games again, but just in an Egyptian setting, or are they going to, not necessarily on the scale of the reboot that it was from Greek to Norse, are they going to do something that fundamentally switches up in some fashion what a God of War game means as they traverse to another new setting? I think that would be really interesting. Obviously a lot of pressure for them to deliver that and to come up with something. I'd be inclined to say no, because otherwise it just means that those games are going to take that much longer to come out, to have to, in essence, start from scratch. Like, why not just use the formula that you have with the Norse games and put an Egyptian skin on it? But I love that. I'd love for it to be God of War, Anubis or something. And it's like, we can't even really tell from the offset that it's God of War, I think that'd be really cool. It's a first-person shooter.
No thanks. No, you're right. Shout out Assassin's Creed Origins, the only other Egypt simulator around right now.
I mean, Indiana Jones has a little bit of Egypt in it.
Civ 7, or if you want to make the argument, those types of RTS games, but
sure. Yeah. Okay, well, cracking on. MLB The Show 2025. Look at that. It's a Sony first-party game, everybody. Panic. MLB The Show 2025 is launching March 18th this year. And it isn't on Game Pass, which is
who cares, dude?
Which is the first time it's done so since 2021.
One.
Yes. So the latest installment in this series is also ditching previous gen for the first time. So it's only available on PS5, Xbox Series consoles, and Nintendo Switch. Yeah, and in the PlayStation blog that accompanied the announcement of the game, it said, quote, "The game will not be on platform subscription services in 2025," end quote. So pay up, Xbox. No free rides anymore, boys.
Yep. I assume. Wait, but it's releasing on Xbox Series, but not on Game Pass, right? So
yeah.
either either the MLB, Sony, or Xbox were, I don't know. Maybe some deal requirement broke down between the MLB and Sony. I don't know. We're saying, MLB in previous years required it to be on Game Pass, but this year it didn't. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see if we ever hear anything more about this, whether like a Schreier report or something comes out. Because it could be Xbox, with the amount of first party stuff they have now, decided that paying the fee to get it on Game Pass wasn't worth it anymore. MLB I obviously don't follow the MLB because I'm not a loser, but apparently I've heard some talk that there are a lot of like international signings going on, like big things in the MLB right now, where a lot of international players, particularly people from Asia, Japan, and China, and everything. So there could also be something where the MLB believes that the MLB is growing globally in its sort of prominence, and therefore they might think that they can get more money from just having a la carte be across the board. It could also be Sony renegotiating. It could be the current deal that was in place expiring and then deciding not to renew for one reason or another. There's a lot of things going on here, maybe, but we don't know. All we know is that if you want to play it, you have to buy it.
Yep. Also, State of Play seemingly rumored the week of February 10th. That is the week after we're recording today. So we're recording on February 2nd next week, or the Monday is February 10th. As reported by insider Nate the Hate, who would hit the nail on the head for Switch 2 reveal prediction and numerous other things over the past 4+ years,
Yeah.
also known as Nate Drake on Reset Era, said a State of Play is highly likely around Valentine's Day. Last January, in 2024, a State of Play featured deep dives of Stellar Blade, Rise of the Ronin, plus looks at Death Stranding 2 and Silent Hill 2 remake. So yeah, I think I would expect a gameplay trailer for Yote, maybe a gameplay trailer and release window for Wolverine, maybe something for GTA 6.
I'm not confident on that one.
Any further insights into maybe the Resistance Project, Intergalactic, or whatever the other studios are working on that we don't know about? So
yeah, I would probably temper my personal expectations for this one specifically, because if we look at like last year's State of Plays, it was the one around May or June that had the Astrobot announcement at the end, and then the September State of Play had the Yote announcement at the end. And not that this is de facto proof and evidence that nothing big will happen. This one last year did have sole focus on third and second party. I would say though, like, I think Ghost of Yote is a foregone conclusion, because otherwise, where else are you going to show it? Because if you do show it at like a May or June State of Play or showcase or whatever, like feasibly that means it's like a month or two max from releasing, and like maybe, but I'm also probably inclined that Yote is closer than that. But I still imagine it will be mostly buttressed by second and third party stuff. So like things like Wonder Stop, sorry, Sword of the Sea, Baby Steps. I would have thought Death Stranding 2 would be here, but like maybe that's a Summer Game Fest thing. If it's a game in the later half of the year, maybe that they give that to Jeff Keighley. Yeah, I don't know. It depends entirely on what their release strategy looks like this year. Because, like, again, I've said it, like, if Venom does exist, that at least at one point had a 2025 date on it. There was another slide in the Insomniac hack that said 2027. So if that isn't the game anymore, then I would expect to hear about Wolverine. If it is a game, maybe we see Venom instead, and Wolverine is later in the year and takes that Yote slot in a September State of Play for a early to mid 2026 release, maybe. Yeah, I mean, it shakes out though, like regardless, like State of Plays early in the year, that is a foregone conclusion. So Like, we all kind of expected that this was going to happen, that there was going to be a state of play this month, but it's nice to kind of essentially get confirmation that one's happening.
Yep. Oh yeah, next handheld reveal, state of play.
Yeah, maybe we get the Halo PS5 announcement there as well.
Okay.
Yeah. And Taylor, to round us off, this can be a wider question, and we can expand on this at a later date. But I'm just like hot off the press. I'm interested because there is some evidence to suggest that PlayStation is already shifting a little bit. So I'm chronically online. You know, it's part of my job. I'm writing, thinking, talking about games all the time. It's just what I have to do.
Okay, Sam.
So I've written down that there isn't technically enough of a precedent to cement the theory, but even just in the past couple of weeks, PlayStation is being surprisingly communicative. We didn't actually have it as a story. I don't think we talked about it last week either. Yeah, because it would have been an announcement this week. But as part of the PS Plus refresh, they added in to the PS blog that starting January 2026, they are going to be offering less PS4 games and shifting their focus to PS5 games,
Right.
which again is something we would expect to happen at some point anyway. But that is going to be happening beginning of next year, which is a good thing ultimately. You're not really losing anything. But then alongside like that kind of clarification, which seems like they're saying that early, I don't know what they stand to gain from saying that early, really. They've also been doing things like seemingly out of the blue, reversing the obligatory PSN account sign up for their games on PC. They have been alongside that repealment. They are now providing incentives instead. So the countries that previously couldn't buy those games, or the majority of them that couldn't buy the games because a PSN account was required, they can now buy the games. And if you are able to create a PSN account, you have incentives to do so, which is good. What should have been there from the start, but
Right.
still good. Then, you know, just again, it seems relatively small fry, but it does matter on their social media accounts, official like PlayStation, not PlayStation this region, not PlayStation support. On the PlayStation account, they have been putting out tweets and posts on Blue Sky and yada 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 saying the anniversary themes and, you know, PS1 startup that is gone now currently,
But they're coming back.
but they are coming back in a permanent fashion. They let people know that. They've said that we heard your feedback, how much you love them, and because of that, we're going to bring them back. And they've also, the PlayStation Twitter account has just been putting out a lot of the more fun, sort of like engagement farmy kind of tweets.
Oh, Sam. So what you're really saying is PlayStation going back to the PS3 fun days of old, going back from the Jim Ryan business days of
Indeed.
late PS4 and early PS5.
Indeed. PlayStation have been very uptight and closed-mouthed, and that has worked for them. But as we've talked about over the past few weeks and months, where things have started to go wrong repeatedly in different areas, I have said like the optics could and are probably very close to turning if you don't switch things up a little bit and start talking.
Right.
And that seems to be what they're doing. In small ways, we still need things like showcases and roadmaps and all of this. That is still required, of course. But it seems weird that all of these things that they just haven't done for a long time, they are now doing. And that happens to coincide with the leadership shift, with the Band-Aid fully being ripped off on the Xbox side. Like, I don't know that you can compile all of these things together to create a picture, but it does seem like something is going on.
Right. Yeah. It's a good observation. I think it's too early to tell for me personally.
Of course.
I don't know. If this continues for 6 more months, I think I would say they are changing.
Yeah.
For that, I don't know. Right. I guess it's a bit weird because, like, if they are changing, who's driving it?
Sure.
Is it? I don't think it's Hiroki Totoki or Hideaki Nishino. Maybe it's Herman. It's that's another question I have. Is
Yeah.
none of these guys come off as fun as the Kevin Butler character or Shuhei Yoshida at the executive level back when he was at the helm. So maybe it's their marketing was overhauled. I don't know.
Because it would, like, to some degree, in terms of how the brand communicates with consumers, that would technically now fall under Nishino, right?
I guess, yeah.
It is, like you say, it is far too early, and also he has only just been bumped up, but we don't know the inner machinations of the corporation. How long have these kind of changes and approaches to social media and engagement and all of these things, how long have they been in the works or planned? And therefore we can't really pin that on this is who's driving these things, because we haven't had, even with the leadership shakeups, we haven't had like a new face step in. It's the same faces, they're just in a slightly different order now. So hard to know where the change is coming from, but I do think that there are indications of change, which, if you have been disillusioned with the approach that PlayStation have taken in terms of their silence, then I think that there are seemingly reassuring positive signs that something might have changed the tide. But I'm with you, Taylor, that I think, like, I'm pointing this out now just because I've seen some things that are very unusual, but it really is going to take several months of this in some form of consistency to present a reasonable enough pattern and precedent
Right.
to
Here.
guarantee that this isn't just, a fluke, and a couple of things that they just decided to throw out and do on a whim haven't coalesced at the exact same time to make it look like something that's not.
Right. If in the next 2 months, God of War Greek, sorry, the God of War Greek Saga is announced, native PS3 emulation is announced for PS Plus Premium, more themes, the introduction of more themes for startup booting up 30th anniversary, like game specific or franchise specific thematic home screens. If we start seeing tongue in cheek promos being posted again on YouTube, if all that stuff's happened, lock in step within the next 6 months, I think I would say,
Yeah.
They are changed. They're going back to marketing themselves as the more fun, as a platform of fun, not just a platform that's premium.
Yeah.
And also I think it also could cast a good marketing shadow over any possible price increases from tariffs that might occur. Right, 25.
Yes, that's a good point.
In the U.S. market, Trump just enacted 10% tariffs on China, 25% Mexico and Canada imports, but also 25% on Taiwan imports. TSMC, the semiconductor capital of the world, is in Taiwan. So basically all your electronics are about to just, unless TSMC is going to be very nice or Trump reverses his decision in the US, all our semiconductor products are about to get hiked up in price. You've heard of the compliment sandwich method of delivering bad news or a critique?
Yeah.
PlayStation delivers a price increase inside of a more fun atmosphere. Maybe it makes the consumers perceive it as still as a good decision in spite of that. Now, what I just said about the price increases, I think some maybe 4D chess that I don't really think PlayStation is doing for that reason,
Sure.
but it would sure complement.
Yeah, it wouldn't hurt them.
The packaging of a price increase. Yeah.
Yeah. And also, again, far too early to tell, but there could be, it just occurred to me, some merit to the idea that in a non-toxic way, Xbox aren't competing anymore. So yes, that in some logic could suggest that PlayStation would become more complacent and maybe even more, astute and tight-lipped. But there is the flip side of that, where in a world where Xbox isn't a threat in the hardware sort of platform front traditionally, who is? Well, Nintendo, with a looming new system on the horizon that realistically, I think if we're being honest, with PlayStation working on a handheld, Xbox working on a handheld, the three out of the three, Switch 2, PlayStation handheld, Xbox handheld, if we're being honest, the two most likely to succeed are the Switch 2 and the PlayStation handheld. Just because
Right.
of sentiment globally around the brand and established user bases, right?
Well, also experience.
Exactly.
PlayStation has made the Vita,
Exactly.
the PSP,
So
and most recently the Portal. So
there
they're still
could
pretty prime.
be something there as well, where now that PlayStation don't have to pay super hard attention to Xbox, maybe they are, again, too early to tell, but maybe we see something that indicates that they are not necessarily directly going after the Nintendo audience, but trying to be in various ways far more competitive on that front. And that's not specifically family friendly or anything. That is just going after that audience that isn't directly interested in a premium traditional console, that they could maybe instead appeal to with a handheld. But they need to sort of sow the seeds and show that they are a company that is, in ways, like Nintendo, which helps if you have just instituted Japanese leadership, which they have. So maybe Nishino and Totoki being really the two heads now, maybe they do try and find a better balance medium between the Western and the Japanese side of Sony and PlayStation. And that would also then help them compete on maybe a slightly more rigorous level with Nintendo again in that market. Maybe. It's just food for thought. But seems like in small ways times are changing. And we can only hope that that is the case.
We'll see.
We shall see.
Yep. We still have some. Moving out the news, we have some listener questions. Kyle asks, "You guys gonna check?"
We've done Kyle's, yeah.
All right, we already did that. Yep. Ty says, "Do you think it's better for the industry of Xbox stops the multi-platform approach and goes for a hard stop, meaning they make every game under Xbox exclusive from Call of Duty?" What does "from Call of Duty" mean? Making Call of Duty included Xbox
exclusive apart from Call of Duty. So
apart from Call of Duty, right? Yeah. So other than Call of
leaving
Duty.
Call of Duty.
No. No, I don't. The install base on Xbox is very small, and they've tried that approach, Ty, and it's hasn't helped through the first 4 years of the generation. So
Yeah.
what's left to do is become the biggest third-party developer that you can, and I think it's better for the industry to Xbox to go multi-platform, because while it would mean Microsoft becomes more and more valuable, that would still also mean that the developers under the Microsoft Xbox brand have a higher probability of keeping their jobs.
Yeah.
So when we say better for the industry, I think it's better that talent stays within the industry and you don't have so much turnover. And the highest chance of that happening is when their games are raking in cash, because we're in a capitalistic society.
Yeah. Yeah. It depends on how exactly you want to tackle the question. I'm with you, Taylor, but like you could view, depending on what you mean by industry, Ty, if you are specifically talking about something like the competitiveness of the industry, then sure, it would be tangibly better if Xbox didn't have the multi-platform approach. People have been saying it on various channels, not just Xbox centric channels, but just across the board. People have been saying, imagine what would have happened in a theoretical world where Xbox, Microsoft were willing to do it. What if everything that they were putting out this year was exclusive? Doom, Outer Worlds, Avowed, South of Midnight, Fable, yada, yada, yada. It's like, that's compelling. Does that have a tangible impact on hardware sales? We don't know. Trends, data that we do have would suggest not at this stage, but it would give them a fighting chance more than they currently have. But again, like you said, Taylor, the reality is that they flew a bit too close to the sun. They went big, they bought big, and fair play to them for doing so. But the byproduct of buying some of the biggest third parties in the industry and being responsible for them means that you kind of have to be third party in and of yourself, especially if your hardware is struggling, which Xbox's is. So, and they're already, like you were saying about them becoming the biggest publisher, they already are. That the data showed from Ampere for December that they were the biggest publisher on PlayStation, and that's just with Call of Duty and Minecraft. So, you imagine the amount of stuff they're going to be putting out on PS5 this year: Horizon 5, Doom, Outer Worlds 2, other ports that we don't know about yet but have been rumored. It's like they are going to make so much money, and at the end of the day, that means more games for players, whether you're on Xbox or not, which is a good thing, and job security for the devs, as you said, Taylor, which is also a good thing. So I think this is best case scenario, honestly, out of the situation that Microsoft found itself in. So it's a sting, but the Band-Aid is gone, and people can just focus on the games now, which I think is what is and should have been important from the get-go.
Yep.
Brandon, one final question. I guess we could have talked about this earlier, but we forgot about it. In terms of the God of War leaks, how do you guys feel about the new mythos and how the story will play out? I mean, we kind of talked about how we feel about the new mythos. In terms of the story, I don't know. I feel it might just benefit them to do what they did with the Greek to Norse saga, where they just don't really explain how he got there. But on the flip side, I feel like with how Ragnarok ended, and sort of, again, without spoilers, people who haven't played it, the path that Kratos finds himself on at the end of that game, I feel it would be weird to just have a random jump without an explanation. So I kind of feel like Kratos will have the drive and the sort of mission statement that he receives and decides on at the end of Ragnarok. And I think that he will go out to this new mythos, whether it's Egypt or not, and try to impart the knowledge that he has learned and the ideals that he is striving towards on this other pantheon. And there will be allies and there will be enemies. That would be my assumption. I also think we're past the point where Kratos can die. Like, I don't think it's a good idea to kill off Kratos.
We've tried that once. Look what happened.
I mean, he's been killed multiple times, Taylor. But you haven't played the Greek games, so you don't know that.
I played God of War 3 many times.
That isn't the Greek games, Taylor.
Yes. What? God of War 3 is a Greek game.
But you haven't played all of the Greek games, Taylor.
Yes. Not all of them.
You don't know what happens in God of War 2, do you? Or God of War 1, for that matter.
I think I know Athena. Oh, never mind. I'm not going to say that on. I think I know if something happens to Athena in God of War 2. I think that's all I know.
Sure. But death is no stranger to Kratos. Let's put it that way.
Oh, what are you talking about? No one's ever died in his life. The whole motivation for becoming the God of War has nothing to do with death. It's just because he wanted the power.
Yeah, he's just a very greedy man.
Yep.
Why does anybody like Kratos? Let's be honest.
You should watch the YouTube video essay. Kratos was always deep, you cowards. If you think all of God of War 1 through 3 is just a murder fest.
And maybe you should also play like God of War Valhalla as well. If you want
We'll
a bit
see.
more of that too.
We'll try that, Sam.
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you all so much for listening. You can find us on YouTube at Save the Game Media, Discord, Blue Sky, X. Links are all in the show notes. Where can people find you, Sam?
People can find me anywhere and everywhere at Sam Heaney, Heaney.
Sweet. You can find me on the PlayStations at Mr. Carter 9. That's MrCarterNine, or Xbox at TPR. What is it? Is it hashtag 6868? Yep. Or I'll say pound or number sign. Tic-tac-toe symbol. Slanted. Until next time, have a good one, everyone.
Bloodborne.
Bye-bye. Nope. Not happening.
Bloodborne
Nope.
Resistance.
Not.
Bloodborne Resistance.